We are the restaurant brokers, and we sell restaurants.
We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm over a decade ago.
Atlanta, Georgia was our starting point, but our brand is spreading nationwide. We define restaurant brokerage and help buyers just like these.
Our dream, our goal, open up a restaurant, loving life, serving people breakfast and lunch, and then enjoying the rest of the day with them and ourselves.
Buying an existing restaurant, leasing a closed restaurant space, or purchasing a restaurant franchise. We help buyers satisfy their appetite for acquisition.
I'm part of a husband and wife team with this fella.
Working with my wife has been a lot of fun. The ultimate goal for everybody here is to make this work. And because we have different strengths, we bring different angles to the deal.
The process begins with our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com, where buyers sign online confidentiality agreements and browse restaurants for sale.
Then we send buyers undercover to check out a restaurant and decide if it's the right one for them.
Buyers get our proprietary business analysis tool with all the financial details on the business for sale.
After studying the restaurant inside and out, it's back to our office.
We're deal makers. We write contracts and negotiate terms for buyers and sellers. That's why we sell more restaurants than any other firm in the nation. We are the restaurant brokers. Our name says it all. I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
That's not all. We're also on your radio once a week with the leading authorities in the restaurant business, talking about subjects trending in this industry. Tweet your questions on the topic while we're on the air to our Twitter handle. It's @SellRestaurants. Post to our Facebook page, facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. If we don't get to your questions, we will follow up on our social media channels.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have any ideas or any comments about the show, feel free to send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. My email is Eric, E-R-I-C, @WeSellRestaurants.com.
Okay, and today is a special treat. We are racing our way to the top. That's right. We're talking to past contestants on Top Chef. What was it like on an adventuresome season on one of Bravo TV's highest rating shows where the chefs battle it out? Today, we're going to explore the inside scoop on life before, during, and after with these top chefs. Our first guest is Chef Betty Frasier. Chef Betty is the co-owner of the popular Hollywood restaurant Grub and long-established As You Like It catering. A second-season alumnus of Top Chef, Betty also appeared on the Top Chef Holiday Special and Top Chef Masters. In addition to her work as a chef and restaurateur, she's a frequent guest chef at food and wine events throughout the nation, where she shares techniques for her signature California comfort food. Love that. Thank you for joining us today, Betty.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we're also joined by Chef Joy Crump. With a culinary style rooted in Southern home-cooked tradition, Joy Crump crafts the season's best locally sourced and organic ingredients into comfortably refined dishes at Food Day in historic downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia. Crump began her culinary career in Los Angeles, where she worked as a contract caterer for the president of Capitol Records and hosted large-scale functions for musicians and executives. While in Los Angeles, she's also worked on private events for Warner Brothers Television and served as a private chef for actors and executives on Warner's television series and featured films. In 2005, Crump moved cross-country to Atlanta, Georgia, where she enrolled at the Art Institute of Atlanta. While earning her degree, she studied under Chef Bradley Rouse, head chef for the Atlanta Hawks, and worked to develop specialized menu for NBA athletes and their families. Following graduation, Crump began her apprenticeship at Woodfire Grill under Chef Michael Toohey, an industry pioneer credited with bringing organic, farm-to-table culinary practices to the Atlanta restaurant scene. During her tenure, Crump grew her skills in meat curing, butchery, fruit preservation, sauce making, and wine pairing. When the Woodfire Grill's ownership was turned over to Chef Kevin Gillespie in 2008, Top Chef contestant, Crump continued her work to begin her career. Joy, we're so glad to have you on the show today.
Hey, Joy.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks.
Hey, how are you?
Great. We're so thrilled to have you. And last but certainly not last on our list, our final guest today is Chef Ed Cotton. Ed is the executive chef of Sotto 13, a boutique Italian restaurant in the West Village. Prior to this location, Chef Cotton was executive chef at David Burke Townhouse. A seasoned veteran, Chef Cotton has honed his craft, serving in top positions in the kitchens of some of the most respected chefs in the world. He has served with Todd Lynch at Olives and Figs, Chef Barbara Lynch at acclaimed No. 9 Park in Boston, and many others. Chef Cotton spent 6 seasons on Food Network's Iron Chef America as sous chef to Iron Chef Kat Cora. In addition, Chef Cotton earned a top spot on Bravo TV's Top Chef Season 7, where he cut his way through intense competition, finishing as the runner-up. Ed is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. Boy, those are some culinary chops you've got there, Ed. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's good to be here.
Okay. So I think we just want to kick this off and have both of you tell us briefly, how has that show sort of evolved, Top Chef? Before you were actually on the show, did you watch it if you were in one of the later seasons, or were you one of the newbies? Give us your perspective on that. And Joy, why don't we kick it off with you?
Sure thing. I just was on a later season, so I had the advantage of being a huge fan. I mean, I don't know whether it played actually as an advantage, but that's just a fact. I was a big fan of the show. I watched it every single season, and I'd be working in a restaurant and come in the day after it aired and talk to the other chefs about it. So definitely came at it from a fan perspective, which I think made, for me, being on the show that much more special. It was something I always held in really high regard, just both entertainment-wise and in my career. So it's very cool.
Good. How about you, Ed?
I did watch the show leading up to me actually going on the show. And I was always a fan of it. And I was very shocked and surprised that I was actually invited on the show. So it was kind of surreal to physically be in the Top Chef kitchen. It was pretty cool.
Okay, so Betty, what about you? Were you a fan?
You remember, I was one of the early ones.
Right. So you've watched the sort of the metamorphosis of this show. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, just to hit upon your original question, mine was completely serendipitous the way that I got involved because season 1 had just started airing. People were starting to whisper the words Top Chef amongst the culinary scene, and I had not even watched the show when I got a phone call at my restaurant one Friday afternoon from someone from Magical Elves, which is the production company that films Top Chef. And if you can only imagine, after a long day of work, having someone from Magical Elves give you a call, you absolutely want to do something with them because who doesn't want a magical elf in their back pocket?
Right.
And so we went back and forth for a bit because originally when they called me, they actually wanted me to cater the season. Because the season that I shot was in Los Angeles. But over the phone, the conversation morphed into me being on the show. And so because I wasn't really familiar with it, I just, kind of went along with it because, I'm kind of that kind of girl. I'll do anything once.
So you started out behind the camera and ended up in front of the camera. That is a great, great story.
Well, we actually never catered for them.
Right.
But that was the original reason in which they got in contact with me.
Okay. I want to ask you that, Ed. I want to start with you. You've been on many different shows, obviously. But is this all real-time filming? I mean, of course, there's some editing, but or are you given some heads up about some of the challenge, some of the insight of what's going to happen that day, or this is like you really walk in there, you find out what you got, and cameras are rolling?
Well, as far as my time on the Food Network with Iron Chef Kat Cora, that is 100% real time. That is exactly 1 hour from start to finish, but for the actual food part. But then the show itself is a long, long process. But the actual cook time is 100% real. There's different various takes, retakes and stuff like that. But as far as Top Chef, that was, if the clock says 15 minutes, it's really 15 minutes. There's no monkey business.
Is that advance notice of what is going to happen the next day? Say, hey, it's going to be a meat challenge, or a kind of hint, or this is like you show up there and this is, wow, here you go?
Yeah, well, to be 100% honest with you, I mean, it's a surprise, okay? But the thing is that what the Food Network on Iron Chef America is, you can request items for your pantry. So you can request everything and anything under the sun. And when they reveal the secret ingredient, you should have enough ammo in your pantry to create something with whatever they give you. And as far as Top Chef goes, we really didn't have any idea what we were walking into in the kitchen. It could have been a whole table full of, whatever, a whole side of beef, but it was always a surprise.
I have to tell you, all three, I am a huge fan of this show, and the things that I see you guys put together on such unbelievable time constraints and with a twist of one type or another, it's just amazing. Betty, you don't often cook like that in your own kitchen. You're able to be thoughtful and really consider what you're going to put across a plate in order to make it do the right thing. How different is it, and how did you find that you personally responded to the pressure of a clock and having the ingredients or idea foisted upon you, and you just had to react, no time to think about it?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, I'll tell you. Your blood definitely gets boiling. That's absolutely correct that you don't act that way in a professional kitchen. But when we've had a couple of instances like that on catering events when, the oven doesn't work, or, the entire, 16 quarts of soup fell. You have to think on the fly. And I think that going on a show like this, it definitely builds your backbone. I didn't think of myself as a competitive person before.
Those of us watching would dare disagree now.
Yeah. I want to go and join a football team. Because you just, it's called Top Chef for a reason. They're looking for people with talent. Now, granted, we are put into incredibly obscure situations, but that's the fun of it, It was tons of pressure. Like I said, I did not know I had it in me. My first foray was to be as helpful as possible because I had hoped that others would turn and help me if I ever needed them. But it was truly an exciting and very hard experience. One of the questions that I often get asked is, was it fun? No, it wasn't fun.
Okay.
So are you saying that the sweat and the perspiration is actually real in the show?
Keep it away from the food. That's
right. Ed, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, well, piggybacking off of the whole catering thing, I think you are at a little bit of an advantage when you show up to a venue and you're not sure what you're up against.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to get this food out? Where am I going to get this food out of? So you use your brain. You got to be quick. You got to make quick decisions as to, how am I going to set up my station? What's the best way? So that does help you because every time you do an offsite event, you're up against a bunch of different things. So that kind of helped me with my earlier cooking life when I first started cooking. I did a lot of catering and offsite events. So walking into some of these ballrooms or I don't know, just utility closets or whatever, trying to execute 4-star food, that definitely was a challenge. But if you've been in the game long enough and you're quick enough on your feet and in your head, you can find a way to make it happen.
So was that true for you, Joy, having that catering background? Did it give you the ability to think on your feet and maybe deliver a little better on some of the challenges of Top Chef, easier than somebody who might just cook all day long every day in that same old kitchen and everything's always in the same place and their pantry always looks the same?
I think we all went in there, all the contestants went in there on every season and on my season with a certain set of skills that gave us an edge and some things that held us back. Just kind of rolling off of what Betty said, I was on season 12 and she was on season 2, and in that 10 seasons in between, I think those guys who produced the show really mastered the craft of keeping us on our toes. It's just like they have it down to an incredible science. So did we know what was going to happen from day to day? We didn't even know what was going to happen from hour to hour. You didn't know who was your friend, who was, going to be pitted against you, who might be, turning around the corner and doing something that you didn't expect the next minute. The pace is frenzied. All the locations are brand new to you. You have absolutely no comfort zone whatsoever, and I think that's what changes it from just a cooking show to a competition, because you do have to, I think much like Betty did, I went in with a very team-oriented, that was just my background. When you work in a kitchen, it doesn't matter if the oven goes down, because everybody's going to try and achieve the same thing and help you get to the end successfully. And in this experience, you're all coming at it with your own agenda, and so it just makes the entire energy incredibly competitive and incredibly, you just can't relax. There's no place to relax. There's no place to sleep. There's no place to gather your wits. It's just really, you're operating at 110%, if there is such a thing, all the time, day and night. So it's incredibly tough. It's just, my hat's off to every chef who makes it through one more round. And when you get to the end, you really do have what you could call a top chef, because it's no joke. Good.
Wow.
Let me ask you this. The judges obviously are there, and you have guest judges. You have, Tom is there every week, and now all of you guys are in the restaurant, and I guess the translation would be the judges every day is your customers that come to your place every day. So, which one was scarier? Was it Tom Colicchio or the people you face in your restaurant every day? Betty, you want to start with that one?
Well, that's a very cute way of putting it. As cute as it is, it's a little bit different. Obviously when we're out there we're in reality TV, the people who are watching it can see the pressures that we're under and realize that we're up against some really talented people. When you own your own restaurant, you do have the time to create and put your energy into perfecting it before you open the doors and decide to serve it to someone. But I will say that, my customers are the most important people to my success, and I take everything that they say, good or bad, as either a criticism or a compliment, because I do believe that what they have to say is worth more than what Mr. Colicchio says at this point in my life.
Okay, so continuing on that theme about the judges, Padma is so kind and sweet, but then she's the one that delivers the final blow. Please pack your knives. Is she really? How does it come across when you get that message? Please pack your bags, your knives, and leave. Who wants to take that?
She's the hostess,
yeah.
So that's her job. On my season, it was her first season, and she is lovely. She was very kind, and she has got a great ear. She's got a great palate. She understands food herself. She's a chef. She was nothing but wonderful to me, and it was so cute. I don't think anybody ever saw it, but before she said it to me, she said under her breath something along the lines of, "Oh, this is tough." You know what I mean? So she's got a heart too, so she cares. They get to know us.
I love that,
Ed,
because
you're
that's the impression we get.
Ed, you're mighty quiet on this judge's question here. You care to chime in a little bit?
Well, I have no issues. If she told me to pack my knives and go, I would have probably said I hate her. So I never once on the show actually was told to pack my knives and go. So I have no idea what that feeling was like. So I was a lucky one. So if she did tell me that, then my answer would be completely different. But as far as the judges go, look, Tom's the chef's chef. He's a chef through and through. So during the duration, as you advance, they do get to know you. So they know your cooking style. They kind of know which direction that you'll probably go. But as far as the guest judges, wherever you're located, I was in Washington, D.C., and there was, we had some people down there, like Spike Mendelsohn. So we had an idea who was going to be a guest judge. No one told us, but we had an idea of who they would probably bring in. Somebody from the White House, somebody from, a local. Prior to going on the show, if you do your research and, figure who's hot down in the D.C. area or wherever the show is being taped at, then you should be like, all right, well, maybe Jose Andres is going to be there, and I should figure out some sort of Spanish tapas dish. That way, when I walk into the kitchen, I see him, and I can throw out, gambas al ajillo or something like that, something. So you should do your research before you actually physically go there.
Good advice. Let me ask you guys that, because all of you are in the restaurant business. Joy, you might want to talk about that. And how does that energize you, or how does that transform you as a restaurant operator from being on the show and now transition back to your restaurant life? How has that made you better or change certain things? Can you share a little bit of insight with people that are listening that are restaurant owner or thinking about to be an operator?
Yeah, I think, again, touching back on what Betty said earlier, most importantly for me, it honed skills that I didn't even really know that I had. Now, if somebody tells me I've got 20 minutes to do something, I feel like I can make Thanksgiving dinner from start to finish. I mean, 20 minutes is like an hour now. It's forever. So there's that, and there's also a sort of, in my case, it was a very raw exposure, and it was really humbling and like I said, unfamiliar. And I work in a community that's really supportive. It's incredibly close-knit, and they look at our body of work or my body of work at the restaurant as a whole, and they were lovely about the fact that I got the boot, on the show. That was fine for them. So it makes me even more committed to my staff, to my community, to do the best that I can on a daily basis. And I think I just took that experience, I measured it against everything that I've ever wanted to do in my career, and I went, okay, that's a cool thing to check off your list. And, it's like a big, giant slap in the face when Tom Colicchio says something to you that's negative. I mean, those are words that I will never, ever forget. At the same time, I have all of the continuous encouragement and support and compliments of the community that I live in. So it's hard to let one negative thing be overshadowed by a ton of positive stuff. So career-wise and working in the restaurant, it's been an excellent experience. I would never trade it.
I love that answer, and we are going to continue talking to top chefs in America, those who put it all on the line, braved it out on Bravo TV's Top Chef. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon, the restaurant brokers. Stay with us as we satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success.